Well, welcome back, everyone. You know, I was trying to think about what we would say for the open to this interview, and I realized there are interviews, and then there's this kind of interview. This is regarding the Special Olympics. If any of you have gone to any of the competitions, you understand immediately what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, these two people are going to help us all decide where we're going to spend Saturday, January 31st. So let me first welcome Sarah Martinez, who's the Director of Development for the Special Olympics, and Bill Collins, who's Training and
Competition Director.
Competition. I've never heard that name competition tagged in there too. But first, welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
As we usually do, prior to the interview, we went on we were in my office and we were talking about it. And I got news for I couldn't even write enough notes. So we are going to talk about the event at West Mountain. But just quickly, in terms of the Special Olympics, Bill, you had mentioned some facts about New York State that really stuck out.
Well, New York is the largest Special Olympics program in the country. We're actually the 6th largest program in the world, with more than 65,000 athletes training and competing in 22 year-round sports. So when you ask when is Special Olympics, I say it's always. They're always going.
Well, you know what? A lot of us are familiar with the track events and the winter events, but you just slipped past one statistic. 65,000 athletes. That's New York State. That's not around the world. That's in New York State.
No, it's New York State alone. We have more athletes than most of the Northeast coast. So
yeah, I bet.
It is a little nuts the way we do it. And it's all volunteer-driven in Special Olympics. We use more than 30,000 volunteers on an annual basis to run more than 400 competitions right here in New York State.
Now, Special Olympics, of course, gives athletes the opportunity to compete where they may not otherwise be able to. Now, that could be a physical disability, but you had also mentioned to me something important. Oh, I guess it was you, Sarah, said, you know, it's an intellectual disability as well, right? So
That's true.
In other words, if they can't qualify for whatever reason, and sometimes that's not fair, by the way, right?
That's right.
They can't qualify for a sporting event that you're able to say to them, wait a minute, you know?
Anybody 8 years old or older is who has an intellectual disability is able to compete in Special Olympics. Train and compete free of charge.
Gotcha.
And so they have to have some cognitive disability, maybe it's a learning disability, maybe it's autism, developmental disabilities of some sort. Could be brain injury, a traumatic brain injury that occurs.
Right.
So once athletes decide they want to compete in sports, they come and see us, and we get them training under a certified coach. They have to train for at least 8 weeks because they have to be ready for competition. It is real. It's a credible sports organization where there are winners and losers. And although we like to say they're all winners, the truth is that they're great life lessons to be learned by losing, to train, to get better, and to come to an event and get your butt kicked is quite an opportunity for you to go, wow, you know, this is what life is like, and this is how I get by.
Well, you know what they'll say, you know, any of the coaches that I've had have always just said to me, you know, winning is one thing, you're very excited about winning, but I get this way, what lesson did you just learn because you lost, you know? And let's face it, that in a lot of ways can be a lot more valuable. And then you consider that these athletes, one reason or another, might have an intellectual, physical disability. They want that self-esteem. They want that ability to say, you can do this, you know, you can get this done. Hey, let's jump right to the Winter Games. Saturday, January 31st, right here at West Mountain, are the Winter Games. Sarah, give us just a quick overview on the Winter Games.
We're really excited to have it at West Mountain. The Montgomery family has been really generous to us. Actually, when we start off our opening ceremonies, their daughter is going to be singing the national anthem, and it's really going to be great. And we've got John Pratt from 95.9 that's going to be there, and he's going to start us off with our oath, which is let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. So he's going to start us out with that, and it's going to be a really powerful impact. We're going to have 15 different competitions in downhill skiing, cross-country skiing, and snowshoeing.
Yes, right. I was going to ask you about that. Now, let's just quickly, because we've got a little time, let's just take downhill, for instance. What are the categories in downhill?
In downhill, they have, for more able athletes, for our higher ability athletes, there's the slalom and giant slalom that will be happening, and that's real stuff. And a lot of these athletes could out-ski any of us in this room. There's no doubt. And some of them been to World Games. Danny Ritzenberg, his local athlete from Saratoga County, has actually been to the Special Olympics World Games and competed. And then there we have athletes that are a lower ability. who will compete in the glide and the super glide. And those are about 20 meters where they're going through several gates and getting ready, building the skills it takes to compete in a slalom or a giant slalom.
Yes, that's right. And of course, again, as competitive as you would expect,
right.
as you would hope. Same is true for cross country, right?
Cross country, their typical cross country, our level 1 division athletes are doing a 1K, a 3K, and a 5K.
Wow.
And there are some great athletes, and they can do up to 2 of them. So many athletes,
Wow.
some of our best, most elite athletes in the local area will compete in both the 3K in the morning and then come back in the afternoon and do the 5K, which is, it sounds like a little more work than I'd like. But
I'm not sure I can do the 5K. You know, let's be honest about this.
And then the lower ability athletes, for those, they compete in the 25 meter or 50 meter or 100 meter dashes in cross country skiing. And would credit to West Mountain is that they then allow us to snow fence off the bottom of the mountain. There is still skiing to the general public, and everybody is welcome to go. But what it happens is it's a great venue. So you're getting ready to go skiing for the day. You show up, we give you a cowbell, and you cheer on some of the best athletes in the world.
Well, I'll tell you something. Any of us spectators, you know, you find you got your favorite team and you're screaming and yelling for them. Go to a Special Olympics event if you want to hear some hooting and hollering. I mean, it's so amazing. The participants themselves, of course, but all the spectators. It's really quite an event. Look, it's Saturday, January 31st, which is coming up pretty quickly, at beautiful West Mountain. And if you haven't seen West Mountain since it's been taken over by the Lobiancos and the Montgomerys, you really, hats off to these people for really making this world class. They got plenty of snow. It's open to the public that day.
Yes.
Now, the Special Olympic events is free of charge.
That's right.
You can ski at West Mountain that day. Show them some support would be great. But
Right.
this is an organization that doesn't get federal funding. You might get some grants or something, but they really do need people to volunteer time and to volunteer funds.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
we're going
we-
to push people to help.
We never charge our athletes to train or compete. To come to this West Mountain event, we'll pay for them to have lunch that day, and all the local athletes are competing, no matter what their ability level. And what's going to happen is they're going to be division by ability, and they'll all compete. But there will be gold medal winners in the 5 or 6 different divisions in, say, the 100 meters. And in that, all those athletes will qualify to go to the state games that are in Syracuse,
the big
coming
hoedown
up
in
in
Syracuse,
February
right, yeah.
6th, where over 1,000 athletes from throughout New York will come to Syracuse, stay in hotels, and compete for the championship. And so, in this case, we're not charging them for this event. We wouldn't charge them for the Syracuse event. We use this money to make sure that people with disabilities have an opportunity to train and compete in the sport that they choose. And if you've got local kids competing in any sports locally, you'll know that's a rare thing today.
It sure
Yeah.
is. Absolutely right. Award ceremony. When's the award ceremony?
It's going to be starting at 2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock.
Yes,
Good.
right after lunch.
All right, so get there early. Get there before 9 o'clock. Kicks off. Opening ceremony is 9:30 until
true.
approximately 2 o'clock, I guess,
Yes.
when you're going to do the award ceremony. Well, I'll see you there Saturday for sure. Thank you very much for coming in. And you know what we're asking you to do. Let's help volunteer your time. They need volunteers day of event volunteers,
we do.
right?
That's
And they need funding. And all of these athletes, more than anything, need our support. So let's give it our best. Thank you very much for coming in, Bill. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
To see this interview again, head to our website, looktvonline.com.